Time travel commencing in T-minus 10 seconds and counting.
It's once again time to go back in time as we head back to the future on the WDW News Today podcast. Let's set our time coordinates for this week's trip through Disney Parks history with Professor Tom Corliss.
It's time to go back.
Where, Tom? Where?
Back to the future, Jason. To make sure I don't miss early morning math. Apparently, that's where my parents met, and now I'm fading away. Quick, hit the fade. Oh no! Anyway. Wow. In order to better understand where the Disney parks are heading in the future, we need to look back at their past attractions, current favorites, and much, much more. Joining me for the segment, Jason Diffendahl.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Nicholas Cicero.
Hello.
In pajamas.
They can't see my bottom half.
Which isn't as good as bananas in pajamas. Anyway. Ashley Gasmer.
Hi.
Carney.
Sivako.
And Patrick Haggett.
Chimichangas.
You know, it would have been great during all those introductions if we switched the camera.
Yeah,
that would have been neat.
We'll do
almost
that.
Like a real production.
Hey, if only our producer was here.
Well, I don't know. Michelle wasn't invited. Nick forgot. No, anyway. Stop watching football.
There's no football on here.
All right. So it is the holiday season, obviously. That's why we're here doing our 50-hour marathon for Toys for Tots. And we thought with the combination of that and the upcoming 30th anniversary of Disney's Hollywood Studios and the Disney Mgm Studios, it would be fitting to talk about one of the most prolific holiday offerings that the resort has ever had. And that, of course, would be the Osborne family spectacle of lights. Everything just seemed to make sense. So we're going to punch in those time coordinates. We're actually going to go way back. We're going back to 1934. Wow. It's a long time ago. And we're going back to the Walt Disney Company's had a long tradition of balloons in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, a holiday tradition. A group of Disney balloons debuted in the 1934 parade with the 40-foot tall Mickey Mouse followed by a smaller Pluto balloon, a 34-foot tall Big Bad Wolf, a 31-foot tall Little Pig, and 12.5-foot tall Horace Horsecollar. And of course, through the years, Disney has had many parade floats, many parade balloons. 1934's Mickey, 35 Donald Duck, and 40 Pinocchio, New Donald in 62, another Mickey in 72, Kermit the Frog in 1977, Spider-Man in 1991, of course that would become Disney later. Santa Goofy in 1992, 2000 was band leader Mickey, another Kermit the Frog in 2002, Buzz Lightyear in 2008, Sailor Mickey in 2009, and the list goes on and on. So in 1992, the Disney MGM Studios hosted several of the balloons, and we have an image of this, hosted several of the balloons high above New York Street in the backlot section of the park, including that Kermit the Frog balloon, Betty Boop, Santa Goofy, and Humpty Dumpty, all floating above the backlot. You're going to see that now. Look, there's Santa Goofy. And we got Betty Boop. And we've got Kermit the Frog yelling. What have you done to the park?
Why is he sitting on a building? That's great.
And there's the cool shot of all of them down the street. So that's the 1992 1 year and 1 year only Macy's Thanksgiving Parade balloons at the studios. And then many years later, the Macy's balloons were sent to Universal Studios Florida, where they're part of an annual holiday parade. That's now a thing. So that was the first offering. I can tell you, I have vague memories of this. It wasn't really the most amazing thing. I mean, it's cool to see the balloons in person, but it wasn't really a spectacle. Kind of like a walk around for 10 minutes, look at them, and move on with your day.
That was just 1 year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
92.
I must have caught that. Yeah, because I remember that.
It was heavily marketed. I mean, it's on maps and all kinds of stuff. So it was a big deal when it happened. And I don't know that Macy's had ever done that with anyone before. I don't know that you could see Macy's Thanksgiving Day balloons on permanent display. I don't know that ever happened.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Did they parade down the street? Or were they
no,
just
they're
static?
just
They were
tied. So
standing
we look,
there, yeah.
we look at the
Okay.
photo again. They're just tied there. Yeah, so it's just kind of a display.
Does Macy's own those balloons, or does Disney own those balloons, like Goofy?
I believe Disney technically owns the Disney character ones, but I think you have to have like permission from Macy's to display them. Otherwise, there's some sort of contractual obligation there.
Yeah, I'd
But
imagine.
Betty Boop obviously wasn't Disney, although I guess the Betty's MGM, no? No,
maybe.
you're Universal.
I don't know. I
Universal.
thought MGM.
Maybe MGM back then. I don't know, but either way, and clearly there are also balloons that say Macy's that would belong to Macy's. So obviously this was Macy's endorsed. So yeah, but yeah, only 1 year. It was just that 1 year. That was it. So in years later, or actually we're actually going back in time. Jennings Osborne, along with his wife Mitzi, founded the Arkansas Research Medical Testing Center in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1968. The business's success allowed him and his wife to eventually purchase a large estate in the middle of town in 1976. And in 1980, the Osbornes had a daughter, Allison Brianne Osborne, named Breezy, nicknamed Breezy. In 1986, Breezy asked her father if they could decorate their home in lights. Osborne complied, stringing 1,000 lights around their home. Quote, each year after that, it got bigger and bigger, Osborne would later recall. Eventually, Osborne purchased the two properties adjacent to his own, as one does, and expanded the display into them.
That's what you did to build the studio, right?
Yeah, we knocked out the apartment next door.
Yeah.
By 1993, the display had over 3 million lights. Some more prominent features included an illuminated globe with Little Rock and Bethlehem marked, mounted in the backyard, 2 rotating carousels of light placed on each end of the estate's circular driveway, a 70-foot tall Christmas tree of lights with 80,000 lights in 3 colored layers mounted atop the home's kitchen, and a canopy of 30,000 red lights over a section of the driveway. The lights were extremely popular in both Arkansas and around the world, as news crews often visited the display. Since their house was located on one of the busiest streets in Little Rock, it eventually caused severe traffic issues and a lot of complaints. The display grew bigger and bigger every year, and by 1993 was lit for 35 days, from sunset to about midnight every day. 35 days would be pretty normal for Christmas decorations.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone would bat an eye at 35 days
No.
anymore.
No.
the day after Thanksgiving to like the day after New Year's.
Yeah, but I guess even back then, people were like, it's too early. So anyway, 6 neighbors filed a lawsuit saying traffic congestion made trips to the corner store take 2 hours, and they feared emergency vehicles could not get down the street. Osborne responded by adding 3 million more lights. Man after man.
I like them.
I'm apparently the reincarnation of Jennings. The county court ordered an injunction against the display, limiting it to 15 days and directing that it be lighted only from 7 p.m. to 10:30.
Right, because that would eliminate traffic. All those people have to come in 3 hours every other day. That's going to really help.
Yeah, I guess so.
No.
Osborne appealed first to the Arkansas Supreme Court and lost. And in 1994, the U.S. Supreme Court, where Justice Clarence Thomas refused to halt the order. In 1995, the state Supreme Court shut down the display altogether. The Osbornes continued to have a light display anyway, but it was, of course, a much smaller scale, and that continued well into the 2000s. The story of the light display's court case brought national attention, including offers from several cities who wanted to host the display. Walt Disney World project director John Phelan contacted Osborne's attorney about moving the display to the Orlando Resort and eventually discussed the potential with a move with Osborne himself. Osborne was intrigued by the offer, but initially understood that Disney wanted to put the display on another residential street in Orlando. But what Phelan actually offered was to install the display on Residential Street, a backlot section of Disney MGM Studios theme park. Being a fan of the resort himself and realizing where the display would go, Osborne accepted. In 1995, the display was set up on Residential Street as the Osborne family spectacle of lights, becoming an immediate success. We have some video from the first years.
Where'd you put that video?
It's in the script.
Oh, all right. I gotta find the script.
Oh, great. Oh, we're not ready.
You could just talk about it for me.
Sure. So there's not much more to talk about. Okay.
Make something up.
All right. Residential Street was visited using the Backlot Tours tram vehicles, and when the light display was in place, the trams would stop before sunset, allowing guests to walk among the displays. So this was the first and only time you could actually walk down Residential Street. So you could actually walk past the Golden Girls house and all the things for the first time instead of being in the tram. Initially, the display was purely the original lights from the Osborne estate, but in subsequent years, the display was augmented to its current size of over 5 million lights. The display is made up of over 10 miles of rope lighting connected to by another 30 miles of extension cords. The extension cords and lights are held together using 2 million ties. It takes 20,000 man hours to install the display each holiday season, starting in August, and the lights are turned on at dusk each night, starting in November, and ran until the first week of January, and required 800,000 watts of electricity.
That is a lot.
That's a lot of watts.
Yep, sure is.
Wow.
I wish we could see video of this display.
I wish I knew
It's a
where you put the script.
Talk about.
30
Did anyone see it on
miles of extension cord.
Residential Street? Was anyone
I did not.
around for that?
No.
Unfortunately, I did not. Although 800,000 watts is like what's that?
That's just under 1 million watts.
Thank you, Pete. I'm glad we have you.
It's 200,000 short of 1 million watts. That's like 8,000 amps, right?
What's an amp?
I don't know.
You're talking to non-science people.
Are we talking about alternating current or direct current?
Alternating current, because Christmas likes to work on alternating current. What can somebody go to like Wikipedia and convert 800,000 watts to amps?
How many joules
This is relevant.
that?
No, this is relevant, and I will explain why later.
I got you. 800,000 watts to amps. Watts.
Math
Are we
game.
talking about single phase alternating current or three phase alternating current?
No single.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
They won't tell me unless I know the volts. How many volts?
120 volts. What do you plug your Christmas tree into?
I don't know.
A socket. It's called a socket. That's about the extent
This
of
is the
my.
worst site. 'cause
It's actually called an outlet.
I just say
A socket is
Alexa,
what you
turn
screw
on
a
my
light
Christmas
into.
What is it?
tree.
That's a
Goes on.
socket?
That's a socket
It says what's the
Or like
power factor? I
outlet.
don't know what the power factor is.
to plug into.
Oh, my
Just
parents
put
would
the
call it a
power
socket.
factor as 1.
They were wrong.
All right, power factor of 1. Calculate. That is 6,666.6666.
All right, so it's like 6,700 amps.
Yes.
It doesn't mean anything. to me.
That's how many. That's essentially the equivalent of, let me see, probably 4 apartment buildings. All the electricity that goes into 4 apartment buildings here,
Or 1 studio at Tom Corliss's apartment.
or 2 lights that you've got.
Yeah, my
shining on
electric
it.
bill's gonna be great.
Is that where we're going with this?
No, I'll
Oh.
explain later.
Oh, okay.
Um,
How many towers of terror is that?
How many what?
Now, that would be a fun fact.
I don't know how many watts does it take to run the Tower of Terror?
Well, Tower and Rock can run on their own generator. No,
Oh, I
I
don't know.
think so.
they have to alternate. Otherwise, like the Rock and Roller Coaster launch.
I thought that it runs on electricity from the lightning bolt that hits it every time the ride starts. How many amps does it take to run Tower of Terror? You think the internet will know?
I bet it's not in amps, no matter what. I would almost guarantee that. Do we have that
So-
video yet?
I'm working on it. No one actually.
So
ever
can Bob
tried to play
Chapek
the
not
video.
charge at the same time as the
Uh-huh.
Tower of Terror? and Rock and Roller Coaster?
You do a presentation while it's going on. Yeah. Anyway, Residential Street. I remember seeing it on Residential Street. I always thought it was cool, but it was not. I don't know. Back then, it didn't feel like this big thing. Like it was definitely neat, but I don't. On Residential Street, it never felt as grand as it would later. I don't know. I mean, you're going to see the footage in a couple moments. Luckily, some people filmed this thing back in 1995 in those early years.
What years was it at Residential Street?
95 to 2002.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, wow.
It's a long
Just
time.
going back, the Tower of Terror takes 2.2 million watts.
2.2 million watts.
Wow, that's a lot of watts. That's like 3 Osborne lights.
We've learned so much already.
How many gigawatts?
2.2
Powered the
megawatts.
DeLorean back to 1985.
It says it's enough to power a small town. So let's just say Ashley's town or the Tower of Terror.
I'm just picturing like getting the DeLorean, hooking up that rod, and then hitting that Merry Christmas sign that's across the street in Osborne. I think we'll have video soon.
We're working on it. This is not something we normally do.
We literally have shown video in Back to the Future almost every time since it went to video format.
But not when I was here.
No, I suppose that is true.
New studio,
Yeah.
This doesn't have anything to do
bugs
with
to
it.
work out.
It just was not right.
All right.
We,
All right, here we go.
Nope, there it goes.
Oh,
Well, there's dancing snowmen.
Look at
are
that.
those people dressed up as snowmen?
No, that's a Disney snowman.
Oh, yeah, it looks like the Kid Parade cat.
No, but that's what I mean. That's like they're
They're
people
Disney
though. They're-
characters roaming, yeah.
Yeah.
Back then they could. I don't know if people know this. Probably younger people do not. Back in the day, Disney characters used to just roam around, and you would just
Yeah.
like kind of all gather around, and then like the next person would just go up and take their picture, and then you
Yeah.
walk away. There weren't
Mhm.
lines.
I
And
miss Osborne
Lines
lights.
to meet characters.
No. There wasn't photo pass.
Oh, so this is his actual house. This is not how.
No,
This
this is
is
Residential
Residential
Street.
Street.
This is the Disney
Oh.
MGM Studio. So these are set houses from TV shows and movies.
The Golden
Okay.
Girls lived in one of these.
I think the green one is Golden Girls.
Interesting.
And these are just
Oh,
the
I miss it
decorations
so much.
that came from their estate, because there is the red canopy, which would
Mhm.
change obviously to a different canopy later. But
Now, did they put a canopy over the street that they lived on? Or
it was over their driveway. They had a
Okay.
giant driveway.
Remember, they owned 3 houses.
yeah.
And one driveway, but it was a giant estate, so the driveway was large enough for multiple vehicles. And it was also a lengthy.
That's the
driveway.
Golden Girls house.
There's Golden Girls.
What kind of neighborhood did they live in? Was it like an
A
affluent
pretty
neighborhood?
nasty one,
I
apparently.
mean, they had money, so it was a large estate to
Yeah.
begin with. He
Yeah.
bought 3 large estates.
But it wasn't. They weren't very friendly neighbors.
No. Well, I mean, not.
No, I
but
just
I could see like if I'm
Was it-
another affluent person in a quiet,
Yeah.
rich neighborhood, I
Yeah.
don't want all these people. Like
What
you
did he do for a
probably
living?
have moved to this affluent area,
For
you know,
quiet.
removed from bigger city life. I don't know how big Little Rock is to begin with. I think it's like a city.
Fairly big, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe these were people just looking to escape the city, and they didn't like that every November and December they basically became the city.
Is anybody looking for the black cat, or is it just
Me.
The black cat was a thing that dates back to the original display. It was there every year. It was in a different place every year.
Mhm.
My favorite was during the last year where they moved the black cat every week, and I
Yeah.
ruined it for everyone on Twitter.
Because you were.
I would just keep tweeting where it was, and people would get grumpy.
Yeah,
this
there's
big
that
tree.
monster 80,000 light tree.
The fun
I
fact,
miss all of this.
techs at Disney claimed that a lot of this stuff was all eventually replaced. There was only one thing by the last, or like there was a couple of
There's
small
a couple
things.
of things.
So
yeah.
like the black cat was original, the Razorback was original.
the Razorback? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like
See,
a couple little things, but everything else had been rebuilt or replaced.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, if you think about it logically, like how long do your Christmas lights
Those
last?
angels,
But not just the lights, like I mean like even like the framing.
those
and
angels.
everything.
Were,
Oh,
like that was an original Osborne thing.
But
I
they
think
like
Disney
rebuilt them.
them.
at some point.
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, well, and even the framing and all, I'm sure it took a beating being put up and taken down every year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, obviously like the Mickeys and stuff Disney had.
Yeah, I mean, this is 2002. This video.
Oh, we're on
so
to 2002 now.
so
So this
this
is towards
is-
the end.
this is fairly added onto compared to what was their original.
Yeah. So the first year was no Disney stuff, and then as it went on, they added the Hidden Mickeys and this Mickey Snowman and the Mickey shaking hands with Santa. All those trademark.
And the
items.
train, right? The train.
What train?
The train with the puffing smile.
Oh yeah. That's a big number.
Wow.
I don't remember.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was cute back there. I loved it, but it I don't know. It was. We'll talk about how it changed later. It was always neat, but I don't know. Oh, look at that.
Eiffel Tower.
Tower.
All right, so let's talk about the move. This is 2002, so this is the last year it was
On Residential
lot,
Street.
Yeah. So in 2003, the park began construction on a new arena for its upcoming Lights Orders Action Extreme Stunt Show. Set to open in 2005. Look it up, kids. Part of the construction included the demolition of Residential Street, thus necessitating another move of the display. The solution was to move it to another part of the park, the New York Street set, now known as the Streets of America. As part of the move, the studios added an artificial snow effect to the display, made up of 33 snow machines that use 100 US gallons of fluid per evening. Wow. In 2005, Sylvania became the presenting sponsor of the lights as part of the parent company of Siemens' long-term sponsorship deal with the Walt Disney Company's theme parks. Look at us, kids. Which also and illuminations reflections of Earth at Epcot, and as well, It's a Small World at Disneyland, and even Siemens technology was used to build and make work Radiator Springs Racers and Cars, and many other attractions.
But not the monorail.
Not the monorail. So we move to the Streets of America. They still, I want to remind people, they do not dance at this point.
No.
This is just a move to Streets of America. And I like this. It felt grander because these are taller buildings. I know it was a little smaller area, but I don't know. It just, the setup was a little easier. Residential Street was a weird layout because it wasn't meant to be walked.
And I mean, you also got to remember, like back then in 2003, 2004, this thing was nowhere near as crazy crowded as it got, in later years.
No, it was starting to, but it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really packed. I don't remember there being a ton of people every night for the old display. And Disney, for the most part, I don't think marketed it as heavily.
Oh, no.
I think they marketed it heavily in '95, those first few years. And then it kind of got quiet for a while. And then when it moved, they started marketing it again. Yeah. So do we have, I have more video links for you. I don't know if we have the non-dancing years.
Hang on, let me see what we can find here.
Okay. So yeah, I want to see if we can find something. I remember when it made the move, I liked it though. I thought it, I don't know, maybe that made sense to me because I lived in New York. And if you went into the city, I always equated the city with Christmas. Like the city, New York City is most magical, I think.
Yeah.
Like, all the stores are decorated and the streets are lined with decorations. It's just it's just a cool thing. And so maybe that just made sense to me. I didn't live on a residential street that looked anything like Residential Street at the studio.
That was the same with me. I mean, obviously being from New York as well, like every Christmas you go into the city, you see the tree, you see everything decorated. It had that magical feeling. So I liked it on the streets of New York because it was like feeling like home, but I was still in Florida, which is so much better weather than New York City in December.
So now you're looking at, this is our video from 2005 of the display. So this would be the year before they started dancing. I don't know what we're doing here. John took this.
So you're looking at from the circle that was.
Yeah, so this was the turnaround that was built for the backlot tour because Lights Motors Action was in place.
Yep.
So the tram just turned around down here to go back to the load. So we're like right in front of the Lights Motors Action restrooms here. Oh, there's what John was waiting for. I don't know why we needed the 8 minutes of footage before that. Oh, we don't want to. You act like we don't want to see the tram tour go by. That is a rare sight now. We can't see that anymore.
Rare?
It's impossible.
Yeah,
sight.
it's not existing.
I hear the lights turning on.
Yeah, where's the big switch? They didn't do the
I don't
big
think
switch.
they did that.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
No.
That was only a couple of years, wasn't it?
That
Yeah,
was, I think
so.
once they started dancing. I think it started that year as part of the sponsorship thing. I could be wrong. It may have already been going this year. But it was definitely, I think it was when Sylvania or Siemens came in.
They certainly turned the lights on way before it got dark.
Yeah.
I mean, in later years they did too. It wasn't fully dark every time.
No.
But it got dark pretty quick. I would think like in that 30 minutes after they turned them on, it got as dark as it was going to get.
So there's the dancing angels again, but
Yeah.
I'm figuring they have to be completely rebuilt because they're in a totally different place now with different wires, and you can see there's
Well,
way
the
more.
thing
of
about
them.
Christmas lights is you can take them down and put them back up somewhere else.
No, but they're like strung on a wire across.
Yeah, I think it's
different
a whole
length.
different. It was a
Right,
whole different.
and there's so many more of them, so they
Yeah.
obviously built new ones.
Yeah. I think in later years it became, especially with the dancing, they moved to like a control system.
They did,
And
absolutely.
I think everything needed to work with the new control system. I think it just made more sense. I'm sure the guys just wanted to rebuild stuff to make it easier every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the courthouse.
There's
There's
Lights,
Lights, Motors Action. Remember that garbage? Yay. Oh,
You know, the car wasn't actually driving backwards.
Look, there's whole sections out.
yeah. That would happen. I mean, the Christmas thing. Look, they even covered the.
What was that
I don't
person
know.
doing?
What just happened? That guy waved?
No, he like threw something on the ground.
Oh.
Oh,
Very upset that one segment of lights was out.
At some point, I hope in this video we go down the street. We're looking at it from very far away.
Do you want me to skip it?
Yeah, skip that a little bit.
Last time
There we go.
oh.
shaking hands with Mickey, that got
So
me.
pretty.
And for those of you who, I assume there's probably a couple people who never got to see this, watching or listening. It was every inch of the street was covered.
There's the canopy.
And that's why they had to start it off. I mean, it was an insane process.
Yeah.
The other fun thing we learned was they never kept the lights. It
No,
was
these springs.
easier. It was easier to cut down the lights every year and throw them away and buy new ones.
Yeah.
No way.
It was
Really?
cheaper with man hours. It was cheaper to cut them down and throw them away and buy new ones the
Because
next
they
year
used like 8 million zip ties to connect them all.
than to cut
Oh,
the
that's
ties,
true.
to re-spool the lights.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would just assume like the ones going down a building, you would just like fold and then label it, 1, 2, house number 1, house number 2, and
But
just put them back up.
But they said like the
untangle them and everything,
all
like
that
the next
stuff.
year it would even add more complications.
They said it was easier to just buy new lights every year.
Plus,
and put them in
Unbelievable.
storage. I mean, they had
Wow.
to store a fair amount of this, like
all the metal things. So like
Yeah, all the framing.
Besides the 80,000 man hours, how much do you think it costs just to buy the lights and the framework to do it?
lights are cheap.
yeah, couple grand.
I love that section. I
That
always
was really cool. Yeah.
effects.
Hmm.
And see, that's kind of the fun stuff that they did. Like they definitely changed the display for New York Street. And I mean, this is street.
There you can see-
San Francisco.
I mean, you can clearly see this is before the era of LED lighting. So
Yeah.
all those are the
Mhm.
regular old-timey Christmas lights.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, but like all this stuff they kept and stored. It was just the lights that were strung on the building.
Yeah, but those big things were flat anyway. They didn't
Right.
really.
Right.
Yeah. And for many years, they stored them in the Hunchback Theater because Hunchback left and the theater was empty for a while. So until that became the Premier Theater later for like special events,
There's Al's Toy Barn.
good stuff. Yeah. All of this is now Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Oh,
I think Andy's just building a Star Wars set.
You're like
it's like
standing
you took
in
the knife and dug
you're
it even
standing in
deeper.
the load dock for the I forget they have real names now. The Rise of the Resistance attraction. It's like right where you're standing, the show building. Or even not quite, no, because there's Muppets. So you're standing like just in the abyss between stuff. This is just behind that gate they built.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they did light all the way down to there. This is all not even, this is not an area you'll ever get to walk in.
That big globe there you see, that's this big globe. This was another original Osborne thing he invented,
Yeah.
and then I think that had to be rebuilt a couple times over the
Yeah, I'm
course
sure.
of the years.
Mhm.
Well, anyway, we'll leave that playing while we talk about the next chapter of our story. For the 2006 edition, the park added over 1,500 dimmer relay circuits and control switches to the display to enable the lights to dim on and off electronically. The relays were choreographed to a musical score, and the display was given its new name, the Osborne Family Spectacle of Dancing Lights. This is when I really fell in love with this. Like, I always liked it, but I don't know. I know this was a thing people were doing with their home lights already, at least starting to do. Like in the year or two before this, it became possible to do this. And Disney saw people doing this with their home Christmas displays and looked at each other. They all looked at each other and went, why don't we do that with the whole thing? And they did it. And I just remember we went the first night that it was happening for 2006. And I remember the first song, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and I was just blown away.
Did they make a big deal of that? Like, did they advertise?
Heavily marked.
Okay.
Huge. It was a big thing. Like, they're going to dance for the first time ever. All these millions of lights. A display like this has never been done before. No one's ever had this many lights dance to music. This was a real big deal. Do we have the?
The Trans-Siberian Orchestra was the best song to watch.
It absolutely was.
It's the first. It made sense. I mean, what? I mean, Disney has used it in other shows. It's also rest in peace, World of Color, the holiday show. It has a fantastic segment where they do flamethrowers and dancing lights and everything to Trans-Siberian Orchestra. But yeah, so this is some video from the 2007 and 2009 editions cut together, but this would never change really. This is what are we? Feliz Navidad. This one?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Are we listening to your music still?
Yeah, can we listen?
Can
to
you
that?
pump in music from there?
I don't know. I think I should be able to, right?
Let's see what happens. Are you here? There we go.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, let's just enjoy it for a second, guys.
I don't speak Spanish.
You can pull down. Yeah, so this is, like, look at the Canopy Dance. Like, this was really special. Again, I always liked it, but this made it really special. And it was just such a great atmosphere. I loved, like, everyone would stop and watch this, and then for a couple minutes, it would just do static lights with Christmas music. Gave people a chance to, like, socialize and mingle and go get, like, a snack, you know, for
move around
hot cocoa and stuff. Move to a different spot before the next song dance. Everything about this was perfect. People loved it. My favorite thing with since Feliz Navidad is playing, I think it's a perfect time to talk about. The cast members would do the dance to this. Everyone remember that?
Yeah.
Any studio's cast members, whether they're off duty or working the spectacle, they would go do the what would they do? Electric slide. Got that electric slide works to the tune of Feliz Navidad, or maybe Cupid Shuffle. I don't remember which one it was.
Maybe it was the Macarena.
No.
No.
Might have been Cupid Shuffle. One of those.
Maybe. It was something, but I do remember.
Yeah, and I always thought that was great. And guests would jump in with them too. It was really
Crisscross. Everybody.
I think it was Cupid Shuffle. It might have been Electric Slide. I can't remember. Someone in the chat might know.
What was the other one, like from the 70s? The disco one. Not the electric slide, the other one.
The Hustle?
Yeah.
It was not the Hustle.
Wasn't that one?
I promised you it was not the Hustle. Which one is it? Okay.
In fact, a single family house is typically 200 amps. Just saw that in the chat.
In 2011, the display had a major overhaul. All the lights were swapped out for LED lights, including all of the rope light. During this overhaul, the lighting control was updated to a state-of-the-art entertainment lighting system using light control boards from the company Lightorama. This means Lightorama, of course, is located next to the Light Institute. Dinosaur joke. Hopefully people got it. This means all the previously choreographed dancing segments had to be redone.
Yep, completely.
While all these updates, the production team wanted to change one more major element to the display, the canopy. The canopy in previous years was all red and separated into only 8 circuits, 4 on each side. Now each light has 3 completely controllable LEDs, red, green, and blue, giving the canopy an almost video-like appearance. Jason, we have the "What's This" video is actually of the canopy.
We sure do.
Now, at that point, the canopy had 21,600 pixels, capable of over 16 million colors. So here we'll see the canopy in action here for when "What's This" was added to the display from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
This blew my mind when I first saw it.
It's really awesome. Look at that, there's actual images. So we'll keep that playing. We'll keep talking. In 2013, Siemens took over sponsorship, replacing Sylvania, the company's former subsidiary. The brand's owner, Osram, was spun off into its own company on July 5th, 2013. 2014, reserve viewing of the lights was offered for the first time as part of a Frozen holiday premium package themed around the movie Frozen. And then, of course, one of the saddest days in Disney park history came about. On September 11, 2015, Disney announced that the 2015 holiday season would be the final season for the Osborne family spectacle of dancing lights. And everyone was very upset, except Nick, apparently. Such a jerk.
What?
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 Nick
I
doesn't
cannot
like-
believe you. I cannot believe you can watch that and not enjoy
Brett.
it.
How are you living without a heart?
I'm so sad right now watching it. I miss it.
Right? Like I want to cry just watching it. I miss it so much.
Enjoy it. I don't miss it.
Wow.
You are so wrong, Nick.
If only a Run Disney event would have ran through it, you know Nick would have missed it.
Well, they did run through it. Like,
If only a Run
the,
Disney event ran through it, then he would miss it.
they turned on the lights for us when we ran through it every January. Yeah.
Really?
And it
for
still
the,
didn't
for
thaw
the
your
marathon
frozen
weekend.
heart.
Yeah, yeah. I
And you
think,
still
And then-
don't
And
care.
then Nick was just like, man, this lighting is so distracting from my running.
yeah.
Why do you not care?
It just wasn't. I don't know. It was enjoyable while it was here, but I don't miss it, and I didn't care that it was being taken away. I think I'm more excited for things to come than this to still be there. I think that's more what it comes down to. Did I go every year? Yeah, I went multiple times every year. Was I looking forward to it every year? Sure, but it's definitely not one of my favorite things ever at Disney. Yeah.
So, there's cast members yelling in my ears. I mean, not that that's uncommon.
So don't get me wrong. I never hated it. Never wanted, never said, oh, this needs to go away. Never cared, never not cared about it. But
I love Brian in the chat goes, I used to always feel bad for Nick with Tom's treatment. Now I don't feel bad for him.
Yeah. The final dancing song lineup in the last year was Christmas Eve by the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Jingle Bells by Barbara Streisand, which drove me insane, but I still loved. A Mad Russians, can we load them? Bring it down a little bit. I can't hear myself. A Mad Russians Christmas by the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Feliz Navidad by Jose Feliciano, Here Comes Santa Claus by Elvis Presley. It was one of the weaker ones, but they kept adding one or two every year, and they couldn't all be amazing. Parade of the Wooden Soldiers, Boston Pops Orchestra, Nuttin' for Christmas by the Plain White Tees from the special Prep and Landing, Naughty vs. Nice, Christmas is Starting Now by Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, which was from the Phineas and Ferb Christmas Vacation special. Winter Wonderland, which was an arrangement created only for the Osborne family spectacle Dancing Lights and was released on YouTube. On iTunes. I think it was they also uploaded YouTube. iTunes, you could actually buy it the year they added it. And then the final edition, which was new at the end, was What's This? By Danny Elfman from Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And of course, Disney, for the last year, Disney made sure there were lots of cool things to look for. Of course, there were the usuals. There was hidden Mickeys and hidden Disney characters. There was the Black Cat, the Razorback, hidden Mickeys.
There's a Tinkerbell.
Yeah, she was one of the characters. Yeah, there was 20, because it was the 25th year.
25,
There's 25 Disney characters. And then the one that seemed like a nice nod to the past of the park that was coming to an end, the baby from Dinosaurs was hiding in one of the windows, a vestige of the MGM Studios of the past. Sort of a nod to, this is kind of the end of this park coming up. Because you got to remember in April, I mean, obviously Backlot Tour is gone already, but this was pretty much the next thing to go. And this would close with the lights in January, but then April is when they started the real demolition of this area and the Lights Motors Action. And that was like the first big step in changing the park and in these additions and things they were going to do.
I miss Lights Motors Action.
You can go to Paris. I guess for the time being, I think it's closer. On January 3rd, 2016, it was announced that due to popular demand, the final season would be extended by 3 more nights. The story actually broken on WDWNT.com. With the final performance rescheduled for January 6, 2016. The final songs the lights danced to were Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas and the Mickey Mouse Club Alma Mater. We actually, I was there, so we have video. One of the videos you have a link for is that final.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, the absolute last. And I'll stop talking when we have that queued up, because I think that's something you should watch if you haven't seen it, because it was a very special finale. It wasn't something they did every night. It was the actual finale, and then the lights all fade down to one final piece that then slowly fades away, and there's almost this like wind sound as if the lights had been swept away. It was interesting.
You ready?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'll
And now, as this holiday season draws to a close, we want to thank the Osborne family for sharing their beautiful display with us all.
The lights have created so many wonderful holiday memories over the past 20 years. May the Osborne family's spectacle of dancing lights shine in our hearts for years to come.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all our company. Here I see
Real soon.
Why?
Because we like it.
Sad Charlie Brown.
Yeah, right.
That's the end of Back to the Future. Now it's just here.
Heart
Yeah.
crushing that ending, and then it fades all down to just the star on the tree, and then you hear that gust of wind
And the sleigh bells.
goes away. Yeah. Oh, tearing up a little bit seeing that again. I haven't watched that in a while. So yeah, someone asked, what's the reason? I mean, obviously the reason was all the construction that had to be done. And there was all this new stuff they wanted to build, including and mostly Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. The Streets of America were demolished in April 2016 to begin that process. Fun fact, that started later than it was really supposed to, which is what put Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Florida behind schedule. The rest of the company, I think people always pointed their finger that Florida didn't start the demolition early enough. And I don't really know why they didn't start, like the second the Osborne lights were down, why they didn't start tearing through those buildings. But yeah, and only one small section of the Streets of America remains, now part of Grand Avenue at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Oh boy. Disney never stated at any point that the offering would return, and it seems unlikely at this point that it will, as Hollywood Studios has attempted with many other offerings to fill the void, namely the Jingle Bell Jingle Bam fireworks show and the Sunset Seasons Greetings, which in many ways tries to be a more modern version of the Osborne lights using projection mapping. And there are some dancing lights in that display. I mean, obviously way less than there were for Osborne. As well, the rest of the park, there was some positive changes. There is a fantastic new holiday decor all around the park, like Hollywood Boulevard, and especially everything new they've done in Echo Lake, including Santa Gertie, and the big Christmas tree there. And this year, a handful of decorations in Toy Story Land as well. But obviously, none of this has filled that void. A lot of this stuff is kind of lackluster, and I think some of that's probably because of what it followed. But then again, I think even as a standalone thing, a lot of people still don't like Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam. It's kind of Sunset Seasons Greetings is just really not very enjoyable, at least for me. And there's nothing about that excites me. There's one segment I like, but I mean, each segment's like 2 minutes long, and it's like it. There's no atmosphere to that. I don't know. It just feels like a soulless version of Osborne. Yeah, so I still think Hollywood Studios has the best holiday decorations of any Disney park in the world. I still believe that. I don't know. The 30s Hollywood decor is really great, and Echo Lake's so pretty. I love all that stuff. But as far as entertainment or shows, nothing's really landed. Does anyone disagree? Does anyone like either of those things?
No.
Oh no!
I kind of like Jingle Bell Jingle Bam, but I don't like. I want to like Sunset Seasons Greetings, but I just don't. You're right. There's no charm to it. There's no.
I'm just tired of projection mapping. I'm tired of projection mapping.
Yeah.
And some of it's cool. Like I like the Tower of Terror made out of toys is a cool visual. And like I really like Mickey's Christmas Carol segment. I think that one's cute, but it's not enough. And then they tried for a while to do like the Osborne atmosphere where they'd have like the projection map segment. And then there'd be a couple minutes between, but people just kind of stood there like, what, well, where am I supposed to go?
Say, is that something that you go down just to see? Like, I feel like Osborne Spectacle of Dancing Lights, you went down to see it. It was like a tradition. It was beautiful. It was a draw to
but also like there were different things to see. Like you walk to different
toys is not drawing anyone into the park.
Yeah, but like you walk to different sections and you see a different angle. And like Sunset Seasons Greetings is built like very much like any modern entertainment offering where they design it on a computer and they decide like, oh, well, look at this great vista down the street and facing tower. But like on paper, that is a great idea. Like it sounds really cool on paper. And then it debuted and we're all just kind of like, well, yeah, it's neat, but I don't know. This doesn't.
I mean, yeah, you stand at one point and you look down the street and you're like, cool. And
you can't see it from another angle because the projection mapping looks completely screwed up if you stand anywhere you're not supposed to. Like if you're in the Rock and Roller Coaster courtyard, it looks like something has gone horribly wrong. Like someone threw up on one side of the tower. Not saying they didn't, but I think
it's not like a destination.
It lacks heart.
Yeah, it's not like a destination show, like you kind of said it. It's not like something you're going down.
But it was meant to be. It was absolutely meant to be. It was absolutely meant to be.
Right. But you weren't. But there's no way you could spend an hour there watching that like you would spend walking.
Well, now they don't. They don't do the nights we were there. They didn't even do like the in between with the music. They just roll through all the shows now, and they just don't stop.
Well, see, and that's the thing. It's kind of better off as not advertised as, "Hey, come see this," and something like a decoration, quote unquote, that you just happen upon while you're walking through.
Yeah,
studio.
but projection shows can be more than that. I know we get upset
Mm-hmm.
about projection shows, but a couple of recent examples, Tree of Life Awakenings is
that's very good.
Celebrate Tokyo Disneyland is mostly projections. They can't do pyro.
That
Fantastic show. What did you say, Pete?
I said the Tree of Life Awakens is awesome, but most people haven't been as fortunate as you are to see the Tokyo show.
Well, I mean, it's all done.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so I mean, they're all worth
just
mentioning.
to give the example, yeah.
Yeah, and like another one that comes to mind is Disney Movie Magic at the studios. I think is a really great projection-only show that does some really good stuff. So I don't know. And Tower's not the worst.
Projection mapping if it's a compliment or it adds something to it, like Happily Ever After. It's gorgeous the way the castle works with the fireworks and interacts with the pyrotechnics. It's beautiful. It's masterful. It's great. But just watching a Tower of Terror with projections on it isn't gonna excite me. It's not gonna pull me in.
It doesn't feel on brand to Tower of Terror. It feels so off,
Yeah.
It's not on brand to Tower of Terror. Like New York, Streets of America was meant to be a backlot. Like it was a set. So it didn't really seem out of place. Also, those are modern cities, so it really didn't feel out of place.
Well, and it was kind of tucked back into a corner almost.
Yeah,
so you
now
had to
you're
go
like-
and seek it out. You weren't trying to get to 2 e-tickets.
Yeah, you're putting 2 giant LCD screens on a 30 street in Hollywood. Like, I don't understand why billboards would be LCD in 1939. That doesn't make any sense. You're taking people out of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they could just install like a World of Color type show in Echo Lake.
That'd be cute.
Do a holiday version.
Yeah.
Projection mapping on Gertie.
But see, it doesn't even even if you want it to be, something that fits in 30s Hollywood, it doesn't have to be that way. Like obviously Star Wars is the most anticipated theme park project of all time. There's no doubting that. Why the Walt Disney Company decided that Osborne, which made a ton of money, I mean, studios attendance every year was definitely greatly impacted by Osborne being offered. So why do you have this cash cow? Why did you decide we will not try to resurrect this anywhere? Why decide this just dies this year? Why is it just over instead of moved? And they moved it several times.
What are our options? Where can we move it if we were doing
Logistically, I'm going to agree with you because I was just opening the conversation.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
no. Well, I
we
think
had
a
the
place like
conversation
Disney Springs.
when it ended that logistically there are a lot of problems. So Pete already brought up Disney Springs.
Right.
So let's dissect the Disney Springs idea.
So last night I went to Disney Springs.
I'm sorry.
I know. You drive by, Lime Garage, full. Orange Garage, full. Surface lots, full. Alternate parking. Please proceed to Animal Kingdom and we'll bus you
Was that a
over.
real thing? People said
No,
this weekend.
there were a shuttle. There was a separate lot with a shuttle bus to Disney Springs for parking. That's last night.
What was going on last night that it was
There's a
that
lot of things happening.
Jason was there and people heard about it.
Sure.
Oh, wow.
So that's problem number one, the parking situation. Number two, parking is free, so everyone on Earth can show up for free.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's really the problem.
Did they, I know this is way off topic, but did they build the garages and everything with the thought that maybe one day we'll charge for parking? Like, can they put ticket booths in on those garages or not really?
No, I think Disney Springs will always be free.
Okay.
So they'll just keep adding garages.
They'll just keep needing more garages. Yeah.
Match demand.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's still another garage plot, the final surface lot.
Yeah.
Which was actually supposed to be the next parking structure, but then they decided to go across the street.
street.
So that defeats Disney Springs. The other thing people brought up, one of the resorts. Do you think a resort has enough parking to handle Osborne lights?
No.
No way.
So the final point is
World Showcase.
a park. Another park.
World Showcase.
Sure, World Showcase. Yeah.
I mean, you look at like Illuminations 25 and previous, where they had lights on the pavilions that would dance to the music during Illuminations. That's exactly it.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, they decided Epcot's not a good idea. Magic Kingdom was already probably overcrowded, so I guess that's why they wouldn't do it there. And then Animal Kingdom just really didn't have anywhere that would make sense.
Pandora.
Fantastic. The Cameron family, spectacle of dancing lights.
Yeah.
So I mean, to give them some defense, there really just wasn't. There isn't a place that makes sense.
Here, I think what you need to do is you need to take 2 steps back. Or you need to go back to like 1960. When Walt bought 43 square miles in Florida, so that we have the blessing of size.
You want them to build a place for
so that no, I wanted them to build a place for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, so they didn't have to knock down New York Street.
The problem is Studios was landlocked, and it still kind of is. That's
right.
The problem.
Well,
yeah,
it wasn't built for giant expansion.
No, it wasn't,
Yeah.
and so that was poor planning back in the Eisner era, really.
Well, the park was built with a different idea in mind. It wasn't supposed to be a theme park. Really.
Well, no.
So I mean,
No.
It did what they did, but
yeah, I mean, it still was put in a bad spot, I think.
Yeah, probably.
So I mean, and that's kind of, I mean, and I think about this all the time when Walt talked about the blessing of size, and yet you have to rip out your main park icon attraction to put in a Mickey and Minnie run. Whereas Disneyland is sure a heck of a lot more landlocked than Studios, but yet they're not ripping out anything.
Need capacity.
They can add attractions without ripping out anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I think they could do it if they needed to. Put it that way. I mean, they had the plot across World Drive that was looked at, and why couldn't they come up with a shuttle system like they're doing for the Hollywood or for the Star Wars Hotel to shuttle people to Batuu?
I mean, logistically, that's kind of a mess.
Oh yeah, absolutely it is. But it would, I mean, logistically, Star Wars Land is going to be a mess when it opens because it's going to be overcrowded. So that sort of shuttle idea would actually mitigate the crowds to some extent because only so many people could go into that section of the park.
I'm not sure how hard it would have been to take the facades off of the building. I don't know how attached those New York Street facades were. Like, I feel like you would just you wouldn't be able to reuse the steel, I'm guessing.
Right, because the ground.
Yeah, but I imagine those facades have to come off.
Even besides that, building facades is super cheap. That's why they do it. Yeah. Right? So you could just build all new facades.
Yeah.
I mean, you could build all new facades and have them all wired up with wires and everything ready to go with these lights.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be hard at all.
I don't know.
I
Or
wonder-
showcase at the,
I-
Where are you going to put them in World
I
Showcase?
don't know. Like,
What are you going to string them to the wall?
yeah, I guess.
I think they would look too weird in Weird World Showcase. I mean, what? I don't know.
You couldn't light up Norway. It would stick out like a sore thumb.
What
Right.
about like a series of arches? Hear me out. A series of arches between Future World and World Showcase.
That
I
you
think you're onto something.
And
light up
dance to music.
Hold on. I almost think that maybe a happy compromise would have been somehow finagling or shifting, because they kept Grand Avenue and just keeping maybe a little bit more of the Streets of America, so that even if they scaled it down, they still could have done it. Instead
I guess you could do Grand Avenue and that little Muppet Courtyard area, or like Enzo, like at a little not Enzo.
I don't know that the rest of the street was big enough to the point where Star Wars Land needed it. And I would gladly, like, there is a lot of green space in Toy Story Land. Why couldn't you just push that garbage closer together?
Like, that's what I'm saying.
And the extra, however many acres it needed on the other side where Streets is, on the Toy Story Land side. And that way, Streets of America could have still existed.
I mean, even if they had to take off some of it, they could have if they really wanted to, I think they could have figured.
I mean, like Lights, Waters, Action in that back part, goodbye. But that set of street buildings could have stayed. I don't think that in the San Francisco street were that much in the way. But I want to change the theme of the park, and you have all these creative people have decided, like, we need a new creative direction for the park, and this doesn't fit the creative direction of the park, and so we have to remove it.
I'm thinking, so they basically bought new lights every year anyway, except for some of the big stuff. And I think the big stuff, some of it they sent back to Jennings Osborne anyway.
Yeah, some of the big metal stuff they gave back to the Jennings.
But so you're looking at expense and how expensive it will be to recreate this.
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking is, let's recreate this somewhere on property that's a dedicated spot for it.
Yeah.
Right? Like here's what you need. You need a big parking lot. You need a street for people to walk on, and you need some facades. And then all the lights you buy new every year anyway. So that's that. That's not part of the expense then. So realistically, I mean, you take a giant parking lot somewhere and build facades on either side of an end of it, and just have people drive there, park, walk through it.
No one's going to pay that kind of admission for that. There's displays like that all over the country. You know, we have tons of them here in Connecticut.
Yeah, I was going to say in New York, we have one that you could drive through on Jones Beach.
Well, I mean, Hershey Park has one that you drive through, and it's like $20.
Awesome. Yeah,
Hershey. There were a lot of knockoffs over the years. I know, doesn't Dollywood do one that looks almost identical now? It even has like the globe and stuff.
I believe so, yeah.
But I'm thinking like this wouldn't be necessarily a separate admission. It would be, you could tie it to admission. You could tie it to having to stay on property, or there's multiple ways that you could do this, that it wouldn't necessarily be separate admission, but it would somehow be tied to park admission or whatever. I mean, there you could come up with a plan to do this that wouldn't be absurd, I think.
How did Universal not jump on this? That's my
question. You know what's funny?
Mm-hmm.
Someone suggested it to the daughter. So there apparently was the Osborne family came during the final season, and they let them they did an event where they were there, where you got like a light bulb in a box. This was like a thing.
Oh, that would have been so cool.
Add-on thing. Yeah, it was the dessert party or whatever. And they were there, and someone overheard her like talking, like Disney officials were there, and she was like trying to push them into moving it somewhere. And someone said to her, like, why don't you talk to Universal? And I don't know why. And she said, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And I don't know why they never did. I don't know if there's something contractually there, or is Disney paying them like a
not to? There may have been a
you don't
in the contract.
Disney might still have the contract and are paying them, and just not
Disney has the option of just not doing it.
Right, exactly.
Osborne for Marvel, straight up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple options, but I also think, it's probably likely that part of this is that now that so many people can just do this on their house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to the same scale, but it's not as amazing as it once was.
Yeah.
This is not the kind of thing that's like blow people away amazing. It's like, oh, this is cool. And there's a house in my neighborhood that does it. And this is like definitely like 10 times bigger, but I've seen most of this before. And the people in my neighborhood that do it all put it to Trans-Siberian Orchestra too. I mean, it's not something that you can't do at home. And that probably is the main reason why, although it did draw in a lot of people, it's almost like, running the Main Street Electrical Parade for 35 years, it's not quite as amazing now as it was 35 years ago.
That's a good point.
And so Osborne is not as amazing in 2016 as it was 20 years when they first started it. And they're always looking for something to be the next big thing. And this was kind of, it had a good run, and it just kind of doesn't amaze people anymore.
I don't know. I would kind of disagree with that, because it wasn't even just so much the lights or the fact that they danced to music. It was everything put together. It was, you had the lights, you had the snow. If you were an adult who they created special cocktails and everything. Like, it was just the whole atmosphere of it, I think, that made it special.
The Snope is very special.
The Snope didn't do anything for me.
The Snope defines Disney at Christmas.
That's on Main Street, USA. Anywhere, sure, absolutely. Not necessarily here.
No.
That didn't.
I think here.
I think you're wrong. Yeah, you don't, for like Ashley and I's generation, this is our Lights of Winter, and it was way better than mine.
You guys are giving way too much credit to Lights of Winter. That was never life-changing. It just looked nice.
I'm not saying that it's a good reason. I'm saying this might be what Disney was thinking.
I'm sure that they had people
who they thought wrong.
Understand the number one, the emotional connection, and number two, that I think here we don't understand the idea of passing things down from generation to generation. I think Disneyland, they understand that audience.
Mm-hmm.
And the creative people behind that park seem to understand that. And that's why, like, you just don't touch the tiki room. Like, people just still go there. It's still the same amount of people. They go and eat their Dole Whip, and they enjoy the tiki room, and it doesn't change.
Yep.
Because it's something that was always meaningful and used to be technologically amazing, but now people just appreciate that it was the beginning of something special, and it's a special place.
Yeah. It's
and
historically significant.
Osborne, if it still came back in the form it was in its last year, I think that would still be what Osborne is. And it'll just be this special nostalgic thing that I think even new people would go in and understand, like, oh, this is something special.
Yeah, no, I mean, I still liked it, and I think that it still drew people. Like you said, it made a heck of a lot of money. I mean, if they made more pins and shirts, people would have bought them. I
still see those farewell shirts. Like once like November 1st hits in Orlando, you see the Osborne Light final year shirts like everywhere.
I mean, I saw the farewell wishes shirt today on 2 or 3. not that that's.
Don't be hateful to wishes, Tom.
But anyway,
I didn't say anything. But, I own that shirt. Don't be ridiculous.
Along with 100 other shirts that you don't ever wear, but
you don't know what I'm wearing. You have no
idea. But yeah, I mean, I thought this was cool. What the other thing that just to kind of go onto that technological tact I was on before was the canopy, where they had like video screen on the. I mean, that's really neat. That's not something you can do at home.
But that's the thing. Like they did what Disney does. They took this thing and they always plussed it. Like every year, the people that did Osborne sat down every year. It's like, all right, so what's the one thing we're gonna like update?
Right.
And it was always something really neat. And that was what was great. That's what's great, I think, about seasonal offerings. Is seasonal offerings, you have all those months between where you guys can figure out like, oh, this year we'll do this different thing. Sometimes you see it like with Small World Holiday. You see it with Haunted Mansion Holiday, they do the gingerbread house every year.
Yep.
And then even some years Haunted Mansion Holiday adds like new things. Yeah. So that I think is the really great thing about seasonal stuff is it doesn't have to close. Like it goes away and the regular thing comes back, but then you have all that time between to play with it. And that's what I think really fun about seasonal stuff in theme park.
Except for the seasonal stuff, they don't plus.
Which is everything now.
Yeah.
The Christmas party came back with no changes other than the party at home.
Wait, no, it did change. It cost more this year. Anyway.
Yeah. So Osborne is gone, and we have new things. And
how are we going to talk about the future of Osborne? We kind of just did.
Well, what is the future though? Like, do we think they're just going to stick with Jingle Bam and this projection show? Like, it's clearly not working. Like, they realized last year it wasn't working because they came back this year and they were like, "Oh, we're going to add the lasers to the show this year, and now it's different. We're going to advertise the lasers." And the lasers are cool, but it still doesn't make it.
I mean,
like an event.
I honestly think it's every new nighttime offering that I've seen at Walt Disney World in the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years has been underwhelming.
Happily?
Not happily. Happily is pretty good. Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam, Rivers of Light, Sunset Season's Greetings. I mean, they're all
the new Star Wars show.
Yeah.
Galactic Spectacular.
Yeah.
The old one without projection mapping was much better.
Good. Yeah. I mean, they're all sort of lackluster. I think for whatever reason, maybe they're saving up all their creative energy to put it in the new Epcot show.
Well, they're mostly nighttime entertainment now is mostly third party. Like WDI,
Really?
the WDI makes the show concept, and then there are third party companies that make the shows. Happily is third party. Rivers of Light was third party. All of them.
But
like creative entertainment comes up with, or WDI comes up with the idea,
right?
But then like the whole show is built by some company.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to let them do a crappy job.
But I think that's part of the problem though, because I think if you look at when the Disney nighttime shows really all got good for a while, it was Disney's doing it in house, Steve Davidson at the helm.
Yeah.
You look at Remember, World of Color, all that same time Wishes. What else is in that? I mean, Illumination, certainly. We could start with Illuminations. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't Steve Davidson, but that was.
No, but like it
was in-house.
It's in-house.
Yeah.
So you talk from like Illuminations, you go to Wishes, you go to Remember, Dreams Come True. Even the holiday shows that Disneyland came out with after that.
Yeah.
You have a lot of
color. So like 2000 to 2010.
But Happily even sneaks in, but that's third party. But a consistent string of good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a while there until they decided.
I mean, even Paint the Night, I would say, is pretty good.
Yeah, but I think that's enough. Is it the shows?
Right.
Are,
no, yeah, but I'm saying like that's on par with everything else that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Only there's certain things that just aren't up to snuff in my book.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's weird because if they've proven third party can do it. I mean, Happily is fantastic, and hopefully third party will prove it again with the Illuminations replacements. Osborne. There's also something special about Osborne. Osborne has a vibe because it was kind of homemade.
Yeah,
it was homemade, obviously by Jennings Osborne, but then even the way Disney did it felt homemade. Like it was just thrown on a bunch of buildings. The coolest thing I ever found out was that in the later years, the control booth was, if you know the popcorn stands that are in the middle of Hollywood Studios, like by the theater, the big silver ones, like popcorn buckets and the drinks and all that. They used to have more of those in that center area. At one point, they removed one or multiple of them. So when they needed a booth for Osborne, they literally took it, lifted one of those popcorn stands up and into the big opening because they were just facades, Streets of America. So in the middle, there's nothing. There's just a concrete pad. So they lifted by crane the whole booth and dropped it in. And so the guys were running Osborne out of a repurposed popcorn stand.
Yes. And
that's fantastic.
That reminds me. So we were talking about the electrical requirements. And so in the we what 800,000 watts is like 6,700 amps.
Yeah.
Right. In the last year of Osborne, and this probably started when they went to all LED lighting, but so all LED lighting. The last year of Osborne went from 6,700 amps to under 500 amps. That's like a 95% decrease in the amount of electricity required to run the whole show when they went to LED lighting. So that's pretty, I mean, under 500 amps is about 2 regular size houses. I mean, a house is like, most houses have 200 amp circuits. So it's like 2 to 3 houses versus like 4 gigantic apartment buildings.
So it was getting cheaper to do too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the move to throwing away the incandescent lights and buying all new LED lights the next year saved them so much money. It's unbelievable.
Yep. Wow. Do you think we'll get like a life day in Galaxy's Edge?
No. Lucasfilm is like against fun now. You can't do anything fun. Yeah. No more Disney characters, a Star Wars character. You can't do anything.
Thanks, Kathleen.
That's the rumors. That's mostly her. Yeah. I just want to say, like, Osborne to me, I don't know why Nick doesn't have an attachment. I have an attachment because that was the one trip a year that didn't move for us. Was we always went, whether it was Christmas Day or we came after, we were always here through New Year's. We always did New Year's Eve. It was like, that was always a constant. And if the few years that we didn't later on, we still came Christmas season. So Osborne is a thing I literally saw every year from the beginning to the end. And like literally my family, when we found out it was the final year, they actually, no one was going to come that time because there was some personal stuff going on. Someone in the family was sick. But when they found out Osborne was going away, they wanted to at least make a weekend to come down for Osborne. So my family all came in just because they knew it was the last time they'd see Osborne. So, and I imagine a lot of other families, it was a very similar thing. Where you know, holiday traditions mean a lot to people. And sometimes they're things you do at home and sometimes they're things you go to. And for us, it was Disney and going to see Osborne. Osborne was a thing that was there every year. And we would spend hours, literally hours. We would walk, you know, go in, watch the lights dance, walk some more, get a hot cocoa, walk, you know, go see another angle. And just, it was just a fun atmosphere. Like I didn't even want to go do anything in the park. And that's when there were things I wanted to do in that park. And I still just couldn't drag myself away from it. Even if we did, we had like a fast pass or something. We'd go do Tower or Toy Story or whatever.
Then you'd go back.
And then we'd be like, oh, you want to go back to Osborne? All right, I'll go back to Osborne.
Let's go back.
Mm-hmm.
And in later years, they had some pretty great alcoholic drinks back there.
Yeah, they sure
Yes.
I'm saying yes.
You could stay there for like an hour after the park closed.
That was the other thing is they were open past park close.
Yeah.
And you could just hang out. It's just such a nice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you see the Macy's balloons?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. I don't have vivid memories of it. There are photos. We have photos somewhere. But I definitely saw it. Yeah. I don't remember. It's not something that sticks.
Doesn't look like you
Not
would
like-
stick with me.
Not like Osborne. I mean, to give you an idea, I lived in New York for 24 years, never went to see the things.
No.
Tourists. That's what tourists do.
Yeah.
We're going to stay home and watch it until
It's so cold. This year, too, is the record cold. My friends were in it.
It's really cold, yeah. Also, there was the year like it was a little windy and people like got hit with balloons.
Oh yeah, there was
Remember that? That was it's also
This year,
very
this year, they only kept the balloons 6 or 7 feet off the ground because it was so windy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know what we think for the future. We kind of talked about Osborne probably not coming back, and we've got what we've got.
Yeah, I don't know what else.
Unfortunately, but yeah.
Anyone else have any final thoughts on Osborne?
I
they'd
mean,
like to
do
share?
you have
Moving to Alani.
any insight, any clue if some of these frames or some of these, you know, some of the
I
frames
don't believe
from the
they have
lights stuck
anything.
with-
I think they gave the stuff they kept intact to the Osborne family.
Okay.
Because that was said. Somebody said that
I'm
publicly.
sure,
at some
yeah,
point.
they did give back Osborne stuff that he wanted.
Yeah. I don't know. He
wanted
had
it
passed
all.
away, the family.
Yeah.
I think like the globe
Some of the
and some of
original
that
stuff.
stuff went back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it was rebuilt, I think it still went back.
Right. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't think so.
I mean, I just think, I'm sad that they, got rid of the great movie ride because the Osborne legacy continued in there because of the lights.
Please,
They allowed him to host the great movie ride.
Oh my gosh.
And
then, I mean,
Where is that ruler?
That's a debacle of a ride.
And give a concert at the, Eat to the Beat and stuff. They should have him come in to carry on that legacy.
Exactly.
You're bad people.
I have to put this one to bed. Probably.
It's time to pull the plug on this.
Yeah.
It's out.
Oh.
Any other final thoughts? I know everybody got cut off.
Just that it makes me incredibly sad that they took it away, and I miss it every holiday season.
Yeah, I don't think
there's a lot of it in Branson, it seems.
It just looks similar. It's not actually Osborne, but they built things. I guess you can't really sue. I think they just built things that looked similar because they were asked on social media and they said, no, these are not. Because when it debuted, people were like, oh, that looks like Osborne. And they were like, no, it's not. For legal reasons, definitely not the Osborne lights.
I think
these are the Bosborne lights.
I think
Jeremy Bosborne.
Good Lord.
Big Rock, Texas.
The Sharon Osborne.
There you go.
No, that would probably get them sued also.
No, but I think it's going to take them a long time and maybe never for them to fill the void that this left. They're going to have to do something really spectacular and special. And I don't know that they are or are capable of replicating it.
Yeah, I don't think there's certainly not the will there at this point in time with the current
team
in charge.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess that's it for the Osborne family spectacle of dancing lights. Before we do the whoosh and get all on out of here, there is someone who on this show for many years has done the whoosh, who's not with us this weekend because he's going through some medical problems, and that's Scott Smith. So we want Scott to know, I don't know if he's listening or anything, but I want Scott to know his friends here at WDWNT love him dearly and are praying for him, and we hope and know everything's going to be all right. So Scott, wherever you are, we love you, man. And we hope you'll come back soon once you get better. But anyway, with that being said, you can take it away, McFly. Whoosh! Yay!